Hey, y'all, and welcome to Politibrawl. My name is Brian, and Brooke Rollins just roasts Boris Sanchez on his own show, revealing the truth about the Schumer shutdown and what's really happening to the end of SNAP benefits. Let's dive in.
As of a few weeks ago, the USDA's website specifically listed that those funds in the contingency plan could use to fund SNAP benefits, but suddenly they can't.
Well, as I mentioned, these are iterative documents, right? And we did fund through all of October as we were raising the flag. Hey, guys, this isn't going to continue. We got to open the government. I think that there's a lot of thinking, at least I'll speak on behalf of myself, that the fact that we're at day 28, I did not think this would ever happen. It's not like the Republicans are saying, oh, well, let's do another round of tax cuts in exchange for your illegal health care or your health care for illegal aliens and your transgender in the Balkans programs. I mean, that was never really part of the equation because the Republicans and the president have said, we'll negotiate all you want, but we're not going to use the government, this cliff, and fall off of it and shut the government down and take all of these people's benefits away. So the fact that we are here today, that we're facing a Saturday deadline where 42 million Americans, maybe another show about whether that program's too big, but there's no doubt that a big chunk of Americans are going to be losing a very, very important benefit. And we can talk, legalistics and is it legal and can we move this money and is that $5 billion available and is it not? But all it takes is a yes on a continuing resolution to keep the government going and to send that money out to the states.
To be precise, Secretary, that's not exactly what Democrats are demanding. They're trying to hold on to certain Obamacare ACA subsidies that are set to expire. And there's a debate about whether some of the folks that would be receiving those benefits, the administration argues that they're illegal. Many of them are TPS recipients that have permission to be in the country. They're asylum seekers. Notably, though, the Trump administration previously diverted some $300 million in tariff revenue to keep funding WIC and also funneled this $130 million donation from an anonymous ally to pay military service members during the shutdown. So how is the argument from the administration simply that they can't use the contingency fund nor find any other alternative to help feed 42 million Americans?
Listen, $9.2 billion, Boris, I don't want to speak on behalf of my boss, but if George Soros wants to step up and write a $9.2 billion check to keep those benefits moving for for the month of November, I am guessing that would definitely be on the table. I mean, this is such an incredible American that kept those soldiers paid, the $130 million. The tariff funds, that's a whole different lane of policy that funded about $350 million for WIC for October. There's a whole other conversation on WIC that's happening right now. But SNAP, the food stamp program, 42 million Americans, 22 million families are being held hostage by Catherine Clark, one of the leaders of the Democrat Party, her own words that they can use these poor families and these benefits for the leverage. Are planes falling out of the sky? Another staffer said. If not, then we're going to keep the government closed. What Chuck Schumer said about every day that goes by, it gets better and it gets better. Even their own union, even the Democrats' own union that's mostly left leaning is saying, please open the government. And that's what we were saying, too. Vote yes. Let's stop this insane march toward, I don't know what they're thinking, some sort of destruction, but using our most vulnerable Americans as negotiating points and leverage is just not okay.
Well, what is your response, Secretary, to the lawsuit now filed by 25 states and the District of Columbia arguing that you're legally required to use those contingency funds to pay for these benefits? A lot of those states that are filing this lawsuit, 8 of them, were states that went for President Trump in the last election.
Listen, well, and all run by Democrat governors. I find it extremely rich that the elected Democrats of California and New York and Washington and Oregon, and by the way, all governors that I work with in USDA on a lot of these different programs, the SNAP waivers and getting healthier food into SNAP, et cetera. But I find it very rich that they are suing the Trump administration because their friends on the Hill won't vote yes to keep the government open. Again, this is not complicated. We're not asking for more tax cuts. We're not asking for, any myriad, more money for securing the border, the issues that we disagree on. We're not asking for any of that. We just want to keep the government going, and then we can have these negotiations alongside that. But again, I believe that they have been very clear up on the Hill, the Democrats have, that they want to use this, and they want to use those who are the poorest among us as leverage points to expand their policy agenda.
They don't have the funds to keep up the SNAP benefits because Democrats don't want to cross the aisle and sign the clean resolution passed by the House that Donald Trump is itching to get on and sign. And by the way, I think he would end his campaign out in the Far East just to come back home and sign that piece of legislation personally, unlike the last guy with the auto pen that may or may not have been a legitimate signature, therefore perhaps not even legal. Just saying, Original Sin contains a whole lot of stuff in that book. Hey, y'all, what if I told you that most collagen products aren't just a waste of money? They could be loaded with toxins that lead to skin issues, heart problems, and even cognitive decline. Sounds scary, but it's true. See, collagen is the most abundant protein found in the body, and our natural supply runs lower as we age. That's why so many people are turning to collagen to help with joint pain, bone health, and even look years younger. But here's the catch. You have to know what you're looking for, or you might be doing your body more harm than good. So before you buy another tub off of Amazon or from your local store, go check out the top 5 collagen warnings that every American needs to see, and take advantage of this special offer. It's a real quick read that can help save your health and your wallet. Right now, get a special bundled deal at a fraction of retail costs plus free shipping. This offer is only available at getnativepath.com/brawl. That's getnativepath.com/brawl. But it really is that simple, and it shouldn't be. You'd think that a problem this complex about being able to get poor Americans that do need their SNAP benefits. Granted, there is a problem that we really aren't talking about, and that CNN doesn't want to talk about. They don't want to talk about the waste, fraud, and abuse that we keep on seeing with these EBT cards with SNAP benefits. There are millions of Americans who do indeed need this stuff. But I want to take this in a different direction. I want to take it a little bit away from politics. Something that I have not been able to get unstuck from my mind over the past almost 48 hours has been the idea of, wait a minute, why do we live in a country that needs to hand out these sort of benefits? Why do we need this? We've got some of the best farmland in the world, stretching from Pennsylvania all the way across the edge of the Great Lakes, all the way down into Texas. And the South even has some decent soil here and there. We're known for peaches, peanuts, and Vidalia onions down here in Georgia. And then, of course, don't even get me started about the fruits and veggies going on out in the Pacific Northwest and, of course, California. We are a food-rich country. As a matter of fact, we have a huge problem with food waste. That tells me that there's a different issue going on there. So it can't be the fact that there's no access to food. What must it be? Well, then you got to start asking, why must it be? Why does our government need to do this? What happened to our human capital? What happened to charities? Did we go too far and let the federal government take over the very thing that we were commanded to do ourselves? After all, I don't mean to get too religious. I want to keep that sort of separate on this channel, but you can see the iconography in front of me. You can see Bonhoeffer, and I've got some C.S. Lewis over here. Light and the glory. And you can see where I lean religiously. And I can't help but wonder, in what world would we be commanded to pay Caesar in order to allow him to handle the poor? That was never the command. The command was that you do it. You feed the hungry. You help the sick. Now, I'm going to be honest. I should not be leading that charge. I shouldn't be. I don't really volunteer my time. I should. I don't, because I'm kind of lazy. I hate admitting that, but that's the truth. I think that therein lies part of that problem. So if you went to church on Sunday, and a lot of y'all are going to, this might get me a little bit of hate, but if your pastor didn't talk about using your church, or any religious place for that matter, as a place of refuge for people who really need the food, your church didn't talk about that, you might need to have a longer conversation with your pastor. Because that's what we're commanded to do. All right, that is our jobs as human beings. It should not be the realm of the government to feed people unless there's been some huge breakdown. During World War II, we had something called ration cards. Okay, because we needed to ration out the food in order to have the insane supply lines that we did. Remember, the United States won that war because we had more ships, we had more things to build and create, and of course we had more food. We saved Great Britain from starvation. We helped ship that food out across Siberia and up into the northern parts of Russia. We were then able to get ice cream ships to Marines out there on an island thousands of miles away from civilization. Uncle Sam has always been able to do that, but you know what? We have all of these little areas dedicated to basically being public spaces, public forums. They're all considered charities, 501c3s. And it just makes me wonder, have we lost that human capital? Have we lost that sort of heart and soul? And if so, how do we regain it? So I apologize, I'm getting on the weeds here, but we can talk politics till we're blue in the face, but let's start talking some solutions. Instead of watching a system that is rife with abuse, we've seen the videos, I know I have, of people filling up their carts with junk instead of real food. And you wonder why there's a health crisis here in America. There's a reason why the MAGA movement and the Maha movement have fused. Because we're actually out here looking at the problems, and it's time to start looking for solutions. And the best place to look for solutions is not directly from Uncle Sam. So as much as I want Democrats to cross the aisle, do their jobs, do the right thing, and sign this continuing resolution, I think this is a huge opportunity to prove that to the rest of America that, hey, we don't actually need this. We don't need all these extra social programs. We can handle it. We can be neighbors again. We've gotten so discombobulated because of the internet, and I know it's ironic because that's what I'm using. That's what I'm doing. That's what this channel is on. We're on YouTube. But maybe, just maybe, it's time to start using our human capital again. Democrats don't know how to use their own human capital unless they're protesting something. But I think a whole lot of Republicans have forgotten what that means to begin with. And it's time to recapture that ideal. And I know that's not what this video is about, and I really wish the Democrats would pull their heads out of the sand and do the right thing. But I think this is a great opportunity for us Americans to start doing the right thing. I think it's time. Let's show the world that we are indeed the most charitable nation on this planet. And I think that's a big part of making America great again. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. My name is Brian. Hope you enjoyed that segment here on Politibrawl. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Catch you on the next one. Till then, y'all have a good one. And hey, if you want to keep supporting us, consider becoming members. Become real live Politibrawlers. Join the group and you will be able to have access to extra content curated specifically for y'all based on your feedback. If you feel led, become members down in the description below. But until next time, y'all have a good one.